My name is Ursula Darby, and I'm a public speaker, a certified grief educator, and a psychic medium. I've been on the front line of grief, spirit, and survival for over 21 years, and I'm also a former stand up. This podcast tells the truth about this work, how it started for me, what it's really like, and the parts that no one will really say aloud. I'm a skeptic. I hate cliches and the garbage that is in this industry. You won't find that here. This is episode 5. And in episode 4, I talked about the Reiki class that I'd taken. I talked about the friend who taught me a bunch of different courses. But both of those people, the person that had taught me and the muscle testing that I'd taken, those courses and classes, and the experience that I'd had, and also using the energy work to send energy to somebody to help support them in some way, and me being able to see who they were and what had happened to them. Both teachers acted like it was nothing and they never addressed it. Well, the one person poo-pooed me and mocked me, which is fantastic. No, it's not. That's sarcasm, in case you can't hear that. And the Reiki teacher just really had zero interest in talking to me about it or engaging me about it or talk anything. And I felt misunderstood. Just was, I didn't fit anywhere. Nothing fit. Nothing fit and nothing made sense. And that's kind of a theme going forward. And it sounds like doom and gloom. And I really don't want it to be. I want you to understand my experiences and starting out as I started to go to like spiritual stores and meet different spiritual teachers, that my anticipation, my anxiety, my fears, my discomfort about my experiences were a part of they were in the fiber of my being. They were part of my every single day. Like my experiences never stopped. And I couldn't stop them no matter what I did. I couldn't stop them. I was too scared. I just didn't understand. And nothing seemed to fit. The more that I read, the more that I talked to spiritual people in stores, they would cut me off in the conversation. And I would say, this time I heard this thing or this and that, like, oh, it's nothing. And I would be dismissed. I would constantly be dismissed. And the same as these two, like there was this theme that was building. There was this which I didn't see it as a theme. I just thought, if these are spiritual people and maybe they're having experiences like I am, then we're all going to be on the same page and we're all going to be loving, caring, kind, compassionate, and connect to each other and support each other and support each other's backs and be really nice to each other. And I still didn't tell anybody. The where I stayed over, that was where I did with the dog, and yeah, like that it felt like I'd been kicked in the stomach. And I was just like, not telling anybody anything. But I kept looking. I still wasn't there yet. I want to talk about the friend who was the psychic, the one that said she was a psychic and how the things that she knew. And I wanted to tell you a couple more experiences that I'd had there that I can recall very clearly and vividly. And I remember staying over at her house. Surprise! We had hung out, went to bed really late, shooting the shit, being silly, playing music, as you do. And I slept in her daughter's room. And I think her daughter was about 3 or 4 at the time. I can't remember her exact age. And there was two single beds. And I remember, I could see it in my head. Where in your mind's eye, same thing. I can see it in my head. There it is. I was sleeping in the one bed. It was, for some reason, I remember it was below a window. And I remember falling asleep and I didn't notice anything. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not happening. I'm not a deep sleeper. I could wake up to a mouse fart. Like, because of what I've been through with spirit. And right, I didn't know it was spirit, but like that's telling you that that's what this is. And I woke up, I kept my eyes closed, and I felt that feeling. I felt that presence. And I knew it was just her daughter and I. So it's like, this is weird. The door was closed. Lights weren't on. It was dark. And I heard a man's voice. Claire's Day. And he asked the little girl by her name and said, "Who's that lady? Who's that lady over there?" My friend's daughter answered and said, "Oh, that's Ursula." And I was like, "Holy shit, there's a man there." I was frozen. And I waited. And I didn't hear her speak again. I didn't hear him speak again. And somehow I fell asleep again. Woke up, got up, and I went to the kitchen where my friend was. And she was washing dishes. And she's singing away, talking. She's always singing. She was, you know, talking away to me, whatever. Hi, how are you? Morning. La, la, la. And I didn't sleep. So I was uncomfortable. Didn't, and hadn't told her anything before and or just nothing. And she's because always on about, oh, I decided to, here's another reading, and this is another book, and this is the thing that I know. And I'm just like, oh, because if she knows these things really well. If I didn't have the confidence and understand what was happening to me, then I was going to believe someone else who was seasoned and knew what they were talking about, right? Why wouldn't I? And so even now saying it to you, like I can feel my heart pounding in my chest. And I walked up to her and I said, I was woken up this morning. And she's like, mm-hmm. And she just keeps washing dishes. And I said, I was woken up to a man speaking. And he said, who is that woman over there? To your daughter. And I said, and your daughter answered. And she said, oh yeah, that's, that's it's a family member who died. And she just kept washing the dishes like nothing happened and she changed the subject. She pretended like nothing happened. That's a pretty big fucking deal. I heard him. I even heard his name because her daughter said his name. And she acted like it was nothing. It just felt let down. I didn't feel seen. I just, it was just ridiculous. But I kept hanging out with her. I didn't stop. Is it a glutton for punishment? Is that what that is? Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna finish with this one. She had, she's like, I've got this really cool idea. I'm like, okay. And she's like, listen, we're gonna go to my friend's house. I'm like, all right. Like, she's like, but they're not there. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, I'll go. I'm game. So, and she said, you got to come check this out. I'm like, all right. And we were in the middle of the countryside. Like you're in the middle of nowhere. And I remember pulling up just long driveway and getting to the house and get out and go to walk in. She's like, I just want you to walk around and see what you notice. I'm like, okay. And I'm not thinking anything of it because she's like, this is just a really cool house and you just really got to check it out and see what it's like. I'm like, all right. So we walk in and she's just like, oh, just walk around. I'm like, okay. So I'm walking around and I'm like, I feel drawn to go to this one room. It's like a closet. I think it was a closet, right? Like who gets drawn to a closet? Oh my gosh, I do. So I walked up to this closet. I opened the doors and it felt really heavy. And it was like we didn't turn on all the lights. Like I'm pretty sure we just turned on the few lights in the hallway or whatever. And I walked into this closet or this small room. I just know it was a small space. That's what I recall very vividly. Walked in. She wasn't behind me. She was like walking off in the kitchen or somewhere else. And I walked in and I stood there and I closed my eyes and I just felt despair. I felt an immense amount of emotional pain. I felt paralyzed, in pain, and I couldn't get out of it. And I felt like someone was pulling me down in this pain. And tears started to stream down my face. And I started to sob, like full on sob. And I couldn't stop. And I was so scared. It was like I was frozen in the space and I couldn't get out. And I'm pretty sure I called out to her or she came. No, I don't know if I called out to her or what. Or she came in the door or came up to me and I was like, get me out of here. Get me out. And she's like, no, nobody, that's nothing. It's this, oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. It's okay. It's nothing. You're all right. There's nothing going on. There's nothing even here. There's nothing going on. And I'm like, I don't say anything because I just felt it wasn't attacked, but I was so scared. Like just this grief, this weight, this pain, this loss. It was visceral. I couldn't get past it. I couldn't get through it. I couldn't get around it. It was like I was wearing it or it was wearing me. It was all throughout my body. And I didn't know what it was. And that frightened me. And she's being all upbeat and friendly, like nothing's happened, and she doesn't acknowledge it. And she's like, "Oh no, we're just gonna walk over here. Let's just see, let's just see what the house is like." And so I start to understand and recognize she thinks this house is haunted. And of course, I thought everything was haunted because I didn't know what the fuck it was, right? I didn't know. How do I know? Like every TV show, every movie you see, everything's haunted. Homes are haunted. And so it was like now we're in like a paranormal investigation, which you wouldn't have talked about it then, but that's she's walking around and she's like, do you notice anything here? What about here? And I'm just like, what the fuck? And so I can't remember if I said it to her or not. I probably did actually. That there was a set of stairs going up this, there's a set of stairs. At the bottom of the set of stairs is before you get to the kitchen. I remember to my left that there was a dog laying on the floor, but there wasn't a physical dog there. I could see a St. Bernard laying at the bottom of the stairs sleeping. And I was like, oh, it's so sweet. Pretty sure I described the dog to her. She didn't say anything. She didn't act like anything happened. She didn't really acknowledge it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, whatever. I don't see it. I don't see anything here. I don't know what you're talking about. And then I saw a woman, and there was just the two of us there. And I saw this woman in like when you think of somebody, and I'm gonna guess time frame like early 1900s, late 1800s, um, somebody who would be cleaning someone's home, a maid, what they were wearing, and covered up like long sleeves, her hair bundled up, dark hair, long like a dress, a long top, and she was coming out of the kitchen, and I described her. And my friends, I don't see anything, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I hear her saying, if there's anything here, and if there's anyone here that wants to make their presence known, make your presence known. And she's saying it like it's a game. And she's being really silly and ridiculous about it. And she's like, oh, well, I'm hearing this over here, and there's this over here, and there's this over here, and this is what's happening here, and this is what's over here. Oh, there's this. Oh, do you hear that name? There's that name. Oh, that person over there, that's this person. And I'm not fucking seeing or hearing any of the things that she's talking about. Nothing. But I believe her. And at one point, we walk into a room and she's doing the same thing. If there's anyone here and anyone here that wants to make their presence known, make your presence known now. And I was standing there. I remember I had this like a fuzzy jacket on. I don't know what you call it with like a little zip up collar. But in the front, it was weird. Had front zippers in the front of it from my waist to my bust line. And it was zipped closed. And her and I are standing next to each other. And she's still calling out some stupid fucking shit. And I'm just annoyed with her and scared. And as she's doing this, the zipper, her and I both stand there looking at it. The zipper on my jacket, my arms aren't touching it, hands not touching it, unzips itself like there's like this person that we can't see unzipped my jacket all the way up to my bust line. I couldn't see them. We ran. We fucking ran out the door because I didn't know who it was. I didn't know what was going on. We ran out the door, got in the car, we left. She didn't really talk about it. She didn't go into it. And if she did, she would make it her own. Oh, well, I was seeing this other thing. And there was this man over here that I was talking to, and he told me his name, and he was saying why he was there. And he told me this, and she didn't acknowledge any of the things that I had seen and felt and heard. And the exhaustion that I'd felt from those feelings that I first walked up to and that wouldn't leave me and that left me in tears, that impact is still here with me today. And that experience happened over 20 years ago. And I can make sense out of it now. But at the time, it spiraled me out and just made things worse for me. Emotionally speaking, I wasn't sleeping, so physically I was affected. Emotionally, I was really struggling, but I wasn't telling anyone or letting on to anyone how I was being impacted, how I was being impacted, what was happening to me, what was going on. Because this friend of mine sensationalized everything and she just dismissed everything. That's episode 5. Thanks for being here. You've been listening to me, Ursula Darby. This podcast is the raw truth about grief, spirit, and life with honesty, humor, and no bullshit. I want to thank you for being here. See you soon.